Okay, I got some ashmont. Let's just see what we can do. Maybe we should warm up first. Let's warm up first. I should have did this off screen. But I pulled Torterra. It's just clutch. It's full support Torterra. I realize Torterra gets screens, and I like screens. I think my best play style is screens. So first Steve. Quick Claw proc the Greninja. This is also I want to see if this works. Oh, actually, I don't have the right thing. Never mind. Let's just see how Torterra leave works out for me. Just gonna see if Torterra lead works out. This support Torterra. Wish Torterra got explosion. The explosional memento. The mega. Neutral weather ball. Oh wait, it puts the sun up, don't it? With this thing? No, it doesn't. It's just neutral weather ball. Means I could have went Gengar, I guess. I don't have Gengar. It's fairy. How I know the light screen against this thing. Magical shine. Idiot. This is what I need. 25 to build theories in One Piece. You know? That's rude. Stealth rods. Well, this isn't even ranked. This is it's not even ranked. Shiny Garchomp. But I don't know. My tailwind. Why does your Mega Ring look like a Dynamax pin?
which again set off alarms in the community. Over time, it was revealed that this character was Figurlin Bug and that he had a direct connection to Shanks. The conclusion most people drew was that Garling was presumably Shanks' father, which added an enormous layer of complexity to the character and the world he
I'm
made. It was
stupid.
precisely
I
the
need to pair
appearance of the Divine Knights that another theory
Noivern
emerged
with
that
Crocodile.
do all of this. The idea that the Divine Knights represented the signs of the zodiac. This theory, originating in the English speaking community, also reached the Spanish speaking community and pointed out that one of the Divine Knights could represent Gemini. And Gemini, of course, is the sign of twins. That connection, although it might have seemed forced at first, fit perfectly with what was already being considered about the existence of a second Shanks in the story. The third clue came during the message that Vegapunk broadcast to the world. In that crucial moment for the plot, the silhouettes of several characters could be seen in the background, and among them was one that looked very much like Shanks. It was just a silhouette without specific detail, but by then there were already too many accumulated coincidences to ignore. The physical resemblance, the connection to the Divine Knights, the Gemini signs, the character confused with Shanks talking to the Tauren, everything pointed to the same direction. And finally, it was confirmed. Shanks has a twin brother, and that brother turned out to be a commander among the Divine Knights. For those who had been closely following all of these clues, the confirmation wasn't exactly a surprise, but rather the feeling that everything fit together exactly as it should. For those who hadn't followed it so closely, it was a twist that completely redefined the story and background of one of the most mysterious characters in the world. Either way, it was a huge moment, and the theory that predicted it deserved all the recognition. Theory number three, Saul was alive. There are theories that are born with the community's support behind them, backed by general
Switch.
enthusiasm from the very first moment. And then there are theories like the one about Saul. This is one of those theories that swam against the current from the beginning, that had to survive the laughter, skepticism, and the widespread conviction that it was wrong, only to end up being, with the passage of time, one of the most emotionally resonant confirmations of
He's
one
greedy.
given in recent years. Saul is a character who carries enormous weight in Robin's stories. That is precisely why his supposed death on O'Hara is so impactful. You see him fall during the What's Call, frozen by Aokiji, and the scene is constructed in a way that clearly invites you to think this is the end of the character. The narrative pushes you toward that conclusion. The emotional context reinforces it, and for many years, most fans assumed without question that Saul had died on O'Hara. But there were those who didn't accept that. There were those who, going back over those pages before
I
critical
probably should have light screen, but I roared.
quite add up.
Maybe we'll get another light screen off. Ah, I wanted you to ice beam.
However, small that Saul hadn't died. Arguments that went against the consensus, but had a real basis to build on. And it was in that context that a voice rose in the Spanish-speaking community
This
to
Garchomp.
defend this theory when practically no one else was doing so. The initial reaction was what any theory that challenges what the majority takes for granted usually receives: mockery, immediate dismissal, and the conviction that whoever defended it was being carried away by wishful thinking rather than a real analysis of it. It was said that it was an impossible theory, that Saul had clearly died, that these things didn't happen in one piece. And yet, over time, exactly that happened. Saul was alive. The confirmation came some years ago, and when it did, it was a moment of satisfaction that is difficult to describe, not just for the narrative fact itself, which is enormous, as seeing Saul alive has beautiful implications for Robin's arc and for the story of O'Hara in general, but for what it represents for those who defended the theory when no one else would. There is something very special about going against the current, arguing with conviction, and ultimately being proven right, especially when the majority have laughed at that idea. What makes this theory especially valuable, beyond the outcome, is that it demonstrates something important about how One Piece works. Oda has his story planned out in much more detail than he sometimes lets on, and characters that seem dead are not always so, especially when
This
the
is tough.
story still has unresolved threats. The case of Saul is a reminder that it's worth not closing the book on anything too soon in this work, because Oda.
He's confused.
Theory number four, Scabber Gavan would appear in Elbaf.
I wish I could have got my
Theory that was
reflect back
confirmed
up.
at the very last moment, literally. Its confirmation came in chapter 1139 of the manga, which makes
I
it
thought
one
he
of the
might
greatest
switch,
lists. But that's
but I
not
still
proof
have light screen up,
on the
so
contrary, it's something fans have been
you're
predicting for quite some time. But in particular strength once it became clear that certain characters weren't going to appear in the more recent arc. Scopper Gavon is one of those characters who's been hovering over the word for years without fully materializing. We know he was one of the crew members of Roger's Pirates. We know he was there during some of the most important moments of the golden age of piracy, and yet his direct presence in the current plot has been
I
conspicuously
should have went
absent for a
Gengar
very long time. Fans have been asking
and
when
just
he would win,
Will-O-Wisp.
and above all, where he was going to appear. The theory that Gabon would be an Elbaf began to gain traction, especially after the Wano arc. In this long and content-dense arc with so many characters and subplots, Scopper Gabon didn't appear. And of course, when that happens with a character of this weight, the community starts calculating. If he didn't appear in Wano, and the islands we still have to visit are getting
Now he
fewer,
stalled my
when
light
a
screen.
character of such importance appeared, the logical answer was Elbaf, because it's the island that has been pointing for years to being one of the most important settings in the entire final stretch of the series. The reasoning behind the theory made a lot of sense. Characters of top tier importance connected to the Pirate King story and to the Golden Age cannot appear just anywhere. They need a setting worthy of them, a moment that justifies the weight they carry in the story. And Elbaf, with everything that had been built around it, fit perfectly as the place where a character like Scopper Gabon would have to reappear. Additionally, the precedent of Rayleigh was an extra argument. If Roger's right-hand man had appeared, it made sense to think Gabon would too at some relevant moment. The confirmation finally came. It was Scopper Gabon's appearance. A small running joke was born on the channel. When they introduced Scopper Gabon, they called him Gusum. So I made the joke that maybe he could be Scopper Gabon's brother and not the original. I obviously said this as a joke in the style of a Sogeking reference, but many people took it seriously. Some saying what I said made no sense, and others actually believing it had logic to it, which is why
I
I
should have
wrote
ate some
this long
cereal before I started this. I'm hungry.
on. Beyond the anecdote, the confirmation of this theory
He
is
doesn't
great
kill
for
me.
Scopper Devon fans. You finally see this historic
I
character
don't kill
in
him,
appearance
bro. I wish I got a Spadef drop.
the
Ooh,
narrative, because his appearance in Elbaf reinforces the importance of that island as a key setting in the final stretch of the series. Theory number 5. The flaw in Momonosuke's artificial root was the color.
he's roosting.
The most
He's giving me the chance to get the Spadef drop.
not being plot twist or revealed something fundamental about the story of One Piece, but precisely the opposite, because what it predicted was so apparently insignificant, so small, so silly according to many, that the fact that it turned out to be true makes it one of the most fascinating examples of fans sometimes being able to read Oda's mind better than they themselves expect. It all starts in Punk Hazard. Momonosuke, hungry and lost in Vegapunk's facility, consumes what turns out to be an artificial fruit created by Vegapunk himself, a version of the Uro Uro no Mi, the same fruit that Kaido has. But at that moment, it's made clear that this fruit has a flaw, that it was a failed
No
experiment.
Spadef drop?
Momonosuke, having consumed it, would also carry that flaw in some way. That said, the problem was that no one really knew what the flaw was. And over time, the more we saw Momonosuke use his dragon form, the less clear the errors.
Just give me the crit
The
then.
dragon generated the same clouds as Kaido, even managed to breathe fire. He could fly. When Momonosuke grew, his dragon form grew with
No Spadef drop?
there seemed to be no apparent difference between the
Wow.
artificial fruit and the original. The dragon did everything a dragon in One Piece is supposed to
I would
do.
have won,
It
bro.
that at first generated quite a bit of skepticism. The flaw wasn't functional, it was aesthetic. The flaw was simply that Momonosuke's dragon was pink instead of the blue that Kaido had. Nothing more. That was all.
No Spadef drop.
For many fans, this sounded like a joke.
No.
Something too trivial to be real. It didn't make sense that the great flaw of
Wow.
scary artificial fruit would simply be the color. But the theory had a solid argument behind it. And that argument had to do with Vegapunk's personality. To understand why color could be considered a flaw, you have to understand who
No
Vegapunk is.
crit.
And how
No
he
Spadef
interacts with
drop.
time.
This is criminal. Wow.
For someone with that level of self-demand, a fruit
He's
that
at
looks
100%.
correct but doesn't replicate the original color with accuracy isn't a success. It's a failure. It's an imperfect copy. And for Vegapunk, imperfect copies are not acceptable. The confirmation came in the Egghead arc. Someone asks Vegapunk about Momonosuke's fruits, and Vegapunk asks if the dragon was pink. They confirm it is, and Vegapunk's reaction is exactly what the theory had predicted. He said it's a huge error, an
They gave me my crit in the
all
nick of time.
in a single response. The flaw was nothing that affected the use of the fruit. It was simply that the color wasn't correct. And for Vegapunk,
Never stop believing. Never surrender.
the theory, as silly as it sounded at first,
Anime. Anime. He tried to stall me. Never stall.
Theory number six. Buggy would become a young.
He tried to stall me. Never stall. Always fight. Never surrender. Oh, buddy. Look, use a ghost type move 50 times thanks to this guy. I gotta eat before I fucking do something else. I'm sorry, stream. I didn't think about my needs.
Theories that are born from deep analysis of from our studying the manga, when connecting subtle clues that Oda has left with math. And then there's the Buggy Yonko verse, which was basically born as a meme. And what makes this theory so special is the fact that it turned out to be completely true. The meaning became a theory, and the theory became reality, which is about it, probably the most buggy thing that could have happened to a theory about bug. And an interesting fact about this theory is that on the channel, we discussed quite seriously that after the Wano arc, Buggy would end up becoming an Emperor of the Sea, a Yonko, something that ultimately happened. It's one of the theories I hold most dearly. Obviously, not only because I got it right, but because it was something too crazy that I said arguments and completely serious. And above all, because of how crazy it is that Buggy ended up becoming a Yonko. To understand why they started as a joke, you have to remember how Buggy became a Shichibukai. It wasn't because of his combat skills, which are quite limited by the series standards. It wasn't because of his strategic influence or any elaborate plan either. It was basically a chain of misunderstandings, absurd strokes of luck, and the involuntary charisma of a guy who has the gift of landing on his feet in situations that would kill anyone else. Buggy became a Shichibukai the same way Buggy does everything, by accident and by luck. It was precisely that trajectory that led fans to joke that following that same logic, Buggy could end up becoming a Yonko. The idea was absurd on the surface, a comic exaggeration of the joke that Buggy's position as a figure of power already was. People said it half joking, half commenting on how ridiculously the character's accidental rise had gone. Ha ha, Buggy Yonko. Ha ha, Buggy will be a Yonko. That was the level of debate when this was discussed. But there's something interesting about how the One Piece community works. Sometimes jokes have more substance than they appear to, because beneath the laughter, there was a real observation. Buggy had an organization. He had subordinates who followed him blindly without quite understanding why. He had a reputation inflated by the legend of having belonged to the crew of the Pirate King, Goldie Roger. And he had luck that defied all logic. This isn't so different from what characterizes many of the great powers in the One Piece. That's how the joke began to be taken more and more seriously in certain circles, to the point where it was given the shape of a real theory and published as such. The reaction was varied. Some saw it as a legitimate bet, and some kept thinking it was a joke with a different rapper. But the theory was there, written, but
Oh. Oh.
this theory is the purest example that in One Piece and with Buggy, anything is possible, and that sometimes jokes have more insight than they appear to. Theory number seven. Lola is Big Mom's daughter. Thriller marches an arc that many remember with a certain ambivalence. Its truth, narratively, it's not one of the densest in the series, that the pacing is different, and that there are moments where the story seems to take more time than necessary. But it has something that makes it especially interesting for fans who enjoy finding clues in the details. At the end of the arc, in a moment that could seem secondary, Oda plants one of the clearest and most elegant pieces of foreshadowing in the entire series. The scene
A
is
lot of
at
guard count.
tried um, they over the card and tell her Lola gave it to them because she would surely help them. It's an
Is there
emotional
no
moment
spectator mode?
with an enormous weight of trust on Lola's arms, leaving them in the hands of her mother as if that were the best guarantee of safety one could have. The problem that Lola obviously doesn't mention is that the relationship with her mother wasn't exactly the smoothest. But that would come later. At that moment, what mattered was that Shannon had a concrete piece of information. Lola's mother was a very powerful parent. Out. One of the four Yonko, Big Mom. From there, the theory was almost inevitable. 2 plus 2 equals 4. The theory circulated the community for a long time, teaching followers that Mozart's path and more information about Beethoven's revealed. One of the things that helped reinforce the theory was the
Got chorus.
Vincent's design. When we finally saw her in detail, fans pointed to similarities between Charlotte Linland and Lola in certain features. The hair, the lip, some facial detail. They weren't definitive proof, but they added to the set of arguments in the same directions. And over time, we finally arrived at the whole Cape Island arc, the entire story of the Darling family untold in the Torah, the confirmation came. Lola was the Satan's daughter. What makes this foreshadowing especially elegant is the period of time that passed between the sequel and the confirmation. We're not speaking about chapters, but years of publication. The fact that fans were able to read this clue correctly so far in advance speaks both to the clarity with which Oda planted it and to the community's ability to keep up with it. It's one of those cases where theory and narrative work in perfect harmony. Theory number 8. X Drake was a Marine spy. And yes, I know his real name is X Drake.
That my free one?
I'm XD, so I'll use that. X Drake is a character who, from his introduction in the series, generated a lot of interest precisely because of what seemed to not fit. A Marine who becomes a pirate who is part of the Word generation and ends up integrating into Kaido's forces in Wano. On the surface, his story is that of someone who left the Marines behind to pursue his own goals as a pirate. But fans who
I'm lower speed and burning.
the details of his past start to see that maybe things aren't so simple. He was in his father. X-Drake's father had also had a close relationship with the Marines, with a role that bore certain similarities to the double life that Ian began to theorize for Drake himself. The parallel between father and son was too obvious to ignore. If the father had had that particular relationship with the Marines, and if the son was following an apparently similar path through piracy, wasn't it possible that the son was doing exactly the same thing as the father, just with more discretion? The theories began to take shape. X-Drake hadn't really abandoned the Marines. He had tended to. His pirate career was a cover, infiltration, a long-term undercover operation designed to gather information from within the circles of the most powerful pirates. The fact that he has ended up integrating into Kaido's forces, one of the four emperors, one of the most feared in the world, made that cover especially valuable from the Marines' point of view. Over time, and with more chapters accumulated, the theory gained weight. Drake's behavior, certain decisions he made, and certain moments where he seemed not to quite fit the role of ruthless pirate he was supposed to play, all of it started to make more sense read from the perspective of someone
We gotta give somebody else Sunny Day.
still a Marine agent. And finally, in the Wano arc, the
You need
confirmation
Hurricane.
came. X Drake was a
I mean Rain
spy.
Dance.
What is most interesting about this confirmation, however,
Torterra gets Sunny Day.
theory was correct, but what came after, or rather, what didn't come after. Because the revelation that Drake was a Marine spy opened the
The only
door
person that likes Sunny Day
of
is
narrative possibility.
Charizard.
Marines acting from within,
Noivern, I guess. But
consequences for the outcome of the conflict in Wano. Drake's role as a connecting element between the pirates and the world government. And yet, none of that ended up being developed with the depth it deserved. The Marines didn't participate in a significant way in the resolution of the Kaido conflict, and Drake's role as a spy didn't have the impact the theory promised. It's one of those cases where the theory was more ambitious.
wow, this thing comes with stealth rocks.
Generate a bittersweet
Close combat flare blitz too is really good, I guess.
was very well constructed and
What's wrong with my speed though?
way that justified the revelation. But the potential of what that storyline could have been wasn't.
We can also give it Sunny Day.
So the theory deserves its place on this list.
There's no way it learns Rain Dance, right? It could, but I don't think it does.
Though underused, was real. Theory number 9. Sanji has a noble lineage. If there is a character in
Iron Fist.
was the subject of intense speculation for years, it's Sanji. From relatively early in the series, small details began to accumulate that didn't quite fit the image of Ship's cook that the character projected on the surface. Details that, on their own, could seem like simple character traits or comedic touches, but when viewed together,
Rampage status.
suggest that there was something more behind Sanji's story, something related to a more complex and perhaps more important origin than seen. The first clue many point to comes from the Alabasta arc. At that moment, Sanji adopts the alias Mr. Prince to throw her over his school.
Whoa,
In
it
all
doesn't have punching status?
context, it's simply a tactic. The choice of that particular alias
Iron Fist doesn't combo with close combat in this game? It's supposed to.
not an alias that just anyone would choose at random, and the way Sanji uses it, with an ease that almost seems instinctive, started making some wonder whether that title had some kind of personal resonance for the character. The second clue, perhaps more explicit, arrived in Thriller Bark. In that arc where Kuma confronts the Straussons, there's a moment where he makes a very specific reference to Sanji, pointing to him as someone who will be very important, someone whose identity, if revealed, would endanger many people or have enormous consequences. It's a line that feels cryptic in the moment, but in retrospect is one of the most direct pieces of foreshadowing that Oda planted about Sanji's past, as it gave the character a completely different weight, as
Will-O-Wisp?
elements added up. Sanji's connection to Germa 66, which gradually emerged, began to give shape to the idea that the Sunny's cook didn't come from a humble and anonymous background, but from something far more elaborate. When we finally arrived at the Whole Cake Island arc and the full truth about Sanji's past was revealed, the theory was confirmed. Sanji was a member of the Vinsmoke royal family. The Vinsmokes were not dragons or world government nobles, but they were a family with a kingdom and a history that placed them in a very particular position of power within the world of One Piece. The boy everyone knew as the cook who only fought with his legs had an origin directly
Playing
connected
Fire
to
Punch.
and to the genetic
Doesn't help.
science of human modification. This theory is one of the best examples of Buddha's foreshadowing, because it demonstrates that the author had Sanji's past planned practically from the beginning of the
I was
story.
having throat chop for Gengar and the Aria. I think Inferno should just set up the sun.
Syndicate start to play. So it's because it touches on a sensitive point in the relationship between fans and the way Oda handles certain narrative elements. The theory that Sabo was alive is in its own nature much simpler than the others we've seen, but the context in which it's raised and what it reveals about one make it a mandatory history on any of the series that turned out to be true. The theory doesn't start at the moment we see the famous Beaver card cover page with three sockets. So it's true that image was one of the most direct clues that reinforced the idea. The theory begins much earlier, direct
Page 140.
flashback of Luffy's text. At that moment, when the ship on which Sabo was traveling is destroyed by the Celestial Dragon, it's constructed in such a way that the natural conclusion is the character's death. It's an impactful death. It serves as a
Are those my IVs?
and carries all the emotional weight necessary to function the defining moment the narrative wants it to. However, there was someone who, from that moment, wasn't entirely convinced. There was something in the way the scene was constructed,
No.
something in the details of how what happened to Sabo was shown that left the door slightly ajar. The possibility that someone had rescued him, that someone had intervened in time, or that the death wasn't as final as seen. It was a reading that went against the majority interpretation, but had some basis in what the manga showed. The cover page with the three sake cups came to add another layer of ambiguity. In that image, we see three sake cups and the graves of Whitebeard and Ace, and many interpreted this as a direct reference to Luffy's past and the possibility that a third sake brother was still alive. It was one of those cryptic clues that only can say something without saying it explicitly, and it worked perfectly as a reinforcement of the theory. Over time, the confirmation came. Sabo was alive. He had been rescued and had an entire history behind him that the work needed to tell. For those who had predicted it, it was a moment of satisfaction. For those who hadn't expected it, it was a surprise that opened up enormous new narrative possibilities. But here comes the point
Hmm.
that Saltamanen also puts on the tables, and it's a legitimate criticism of Oda. The theme of fake deaths in One Piece has become such a recognizable pattern that it has ended up eroding the credibility of any death in the series. When they supposedly killed Kinemon and Wano, for example, my reaction was to believe he wasn't dead. It seemed like a very poor death for the kind of character Kinemon was, and I was convinced Oda would find a way for him to be alive. I remember that at that moment, many people laughed at me saying I was crazy, and it ultimately turned out to be the case. The problem is that when deaths stop being believable, narrative tension dissipates. One Piece is approaching its final stretch, and if the audience no longer believes
What else can I do with the sun? Huh?
died, that has consequences for the emotional experience of reading. Just a small reflection I wanted to share before moving on to the next confirmed theory. But let me know what you think about that in the comments. Let's continue. Theory number 11. The mysterious remain with the dog helmet was Luffy's grandfather. This theory is interesting because it mixes something very concrete from the canon with the historical memory of the fandom. It's not a theory about the future of the work, but about how some readers managed to get ahead of a small revelation that Oda wanted to present as a surprise. That the mysterious Marine with the dog helmet was Luffy's grandfather. Let's break it down. In the manga, we don't see Garp's face until after the events of Enies Lobby. After the defeat of CP9, this enormous vice admiral appears wearing a dog helmet that completely covers his head. For several chapters, his face remains hidden. This is already strange in One Piece because Oda doesn't usually hide the design of an important character without a reason. When he finally takes off the helmet, we don't just see his face. He also drops the bomb.
I still don't know if my light ball strat works on ground types.
It was a powerful
I think
switch.
it does, but I
Until
don't.
then, we knew practically nothing about Luffy's family beyond the fact that he had grown up with
Hmm.
Don and that Shanks had marked his childhood.
No
Suddenly, we
ground
discovered that his
types.
grandfather is a hero of the Marines, which completely reconfigures the narrative. But here comes the key detail. Before One Piece existed as a serialized series at Weekly Shonen Jump, Ichiro Oda published a one-shot called Romance Dawn in 1996. Surely
You
many
need
people watching
Torterra?
this weren't even born yet, neither was I. In that early version, prototypes of characters appeared that would later evolve in the final work. Among them is a character who functions as Luffy's grandfather
Who's
with a
gonna
very
clean up in the
recognizable design that
fragment?
would later transform into Garp. In this preliminary version,
Ice
that
beam.
figure wasn't a marine, but a pirate, and fulfilled a role closer to what Shanks would end up occupying in the series, being the figure who sends Luffy out to sea and
We
connects
have
him
to
to Shanks.
trust in
In other words, the concept of the grandfather
Lucario to
already
clean up at
existed
the
before
end.
the official
Dragonite maybe, but if I get stuck with the
Marine appears with
Snorlax, I'm
things
screwed.
we can't see. Some veteran readers remembered this one shot, and here is where the theory gained strength. The fandom started asking why Oda would hide this character's face. He had already played with the resource of hiding faces in Water 7. With CP9 members, we already knew under another identity. In other words, when he doesn't show a face, there's usually a specific narrative reason, and it's not done just because. If you analyze the context of that moment in the story, the options were
It
limited.
is
Only
Focus Sash.
characters with enough weight to justify that mystery. Furthermore, Luffy had never spoken about his grandfather. We knew he had family, but nothing had been developed on that front. The fact that this Marine behaves strangely around Luffy, treats him with familiarity, and has his identity hidden, that set off alarm. Some readers connected the dots. Body design similar to the prototype, the resource of hiding her face, and the prior existence of the grandfather concept in Romance Dawn. The logical conclusion for part of the fandom was that this Marine had to be Luffy's grandfather, adapted to the definitive canon, and they were right. And what's interesting isn't just that they predicted it, but how they did. It wasn't a theory pulled from nowhere. It was an exercise in editorial memory
I'm
and
scared.
narrative analysis. They identified a pattern in Oda's writing
Talisha.
style, remembered material prior to the official serialization, and applied internal logic to what they were reading at that moment. From a narrative standpoint, it makes sense that the dog helmet served to delay the revelation. Though there's no explicit statement from Oda saying he did it exclusively because of the one shot, it's evident that hiding the face increased the impact of the moment when the identity was revealed. If from the very first panel we could clearly see the resemblance to Luffy, the element of surprise would have been lessened. What makes this theory so good is not that it
This is
contradicts,
evil.
but that it demonstrates that the
I'm about
fandom
to
can handle
parafusion
anything
him.
when it
He's
knows the
citrus.
work in the author's track record well. Oda tried to build
Flinch.
a dramatic reputation, but there were readers who understood the
Oh, he
movement
just
before
died.
it executed. And that honestly speaks both to Oda's planning and to the level of analysis that can be reached in the community when the right details
Lucky
are
I
included.
brought things that are immune to
Well,
Glamora.
no need was not what it seemed. This theory revolves around one of the most impactful moments in the entire history of One Piece. The revelation in Wano that the Gomu Gomu no Mi was never really the Gomu Gomu no Mi. When Kaido defeats Luffy a second time on the roof of Onigashima and leaves him unconscious, Luffy's heart stops beating and yet starts again. That strange drumbeat precedes the awakening of its fruit and the appearance of Gear 5. Shortly after, the Goro
Oh, do I outspeed this thing?
the fruit that the world government had been trying to capture for
He head
centuries was
smashed too.
visible
I could have
rare
swapped, I
only at
guess.
known as the Ito Ito no Mi model Ika. The impact was brutal. For over 1,000 chapters, we had assumed Luffy was the rubber guy. His identity, his fighting style, his physical limitations,
It all comes down to this.
everything was built on that foundation. And suddenly, we're told
Wish I got an intimidate off or something.
but the power of the sun god,
Or
the
faster.
figure of
Woo!
it wasn't a simple power. It was a conceptual shift in what the fruit actually was.
I actually team
Although the
diffed them.
story of
3v3s are fun, dude.
there was a small group who had long suspected something didn't quite add up. Not so much that it was exactly Nika, that was practically impossible to predict with precision, but that the Gomu Gomu no Mi might not be what it seemed. Some
That's rank
theories
3.
Wano already suggested that the name could be hiding something bigger, or that its
300
classification as
VP.
Paramecia seems too simple for the protagonist of such a long work so loaded with symbolism. But what were they based on? There was no direct proof, but several elements raised doubts. For example, the way Luffy his body went far beyond stretching. From gear second and third onward, he was already altering his physiology in extreme ways, accelerating blood flow, inflating bones,
Oh,
modifying
Hydreigon, here we go.
his body acquired almost cartoon-like properties, changing shape and bouncing with exaggerated
Hydreigon,
elasticity.
here we
Some
go.
readers felt the versatility was too broad for an apparently basic fruit. There's also the question of the power scale. As the story advanced, increasingly enormous fruits appeared. Teach's darkness, a kind of magma, Kuzan's ice, Whitebeard's earthquakes. Against all that, rubber seemed conceptually inferior. Many assumed the key with Luffy would be Haki, not his fruits, but others wondered whether Oda would really take the protagonist to the end with such a simple ability, while antagonists accumulated devastating powers. The curious thing is that the final revelation didn't make the fruit something more serious or more elemental in the classic sense. It wasn't stronger magma or a lightning. Our strength, combat, distorted physics, cartoon logic, what many today describe as Toon Force. And that's where the theory connects unexpectedly with what Oda said, that he chose that power because he wanted Luffy to have the most ridiculous
There's just no way he brings Sneasler. He just won't bring Sneasler.
but it wasn't power in the traditional sense. It was power in the sense of creative and narrative freedom. Awakening didn't just increase his strength. It redefined how his body works and how his battles are depicted. Looking at it in perspective, one of the greatest structural changes in work, it doesn't alter the past. Luffy was always who he was. But it changes the interpretation of everything that
He's
came
gonna break
before.
my marble scale. But the sand is up anyway.
Might not simply be a rubber free, demonstrates something very interesting. That even when Oda built the solid premise for the layer underneath, and when that layer is revealed, the blow is historic.
Faster.
Theory number 13. Monkey D. Dragon was a former Marine. This theory about Monkey D. Dragon was for years one of the most debated, above all because the character was always surrounded by mystery. We knew the basics. He's Luffy's father, Garp's son, and the leader of the Revolutionary Army, and that
What's
was
his plan,
practically
bro?
it. Almost nothing more. For someone with that weight within the world of One Piece, it
Oh,
was
they yawned me.
suspiciously little. The starting point of the theory was quite logical. If Garp is a Marine hero, a central figure within the institution, and we also know he's a committed Marine, even refused promotions to avoid being directly under the orders of the Celestial Dragons, it would be natural to think that his son Dragon had also had some connection to the Marines. It didn't seem far fetched to imagine he had followed in his father's footsteps, at least during some stage of his life. Here is where the interesting part comes in. If Dragon ended up becoming the world government's most wanted man, The leader of the movement that wants to tear down the entire system. What had to happen for someone raised in the shadow of the most famous Marine to decide to go to the exact opposite extreme? That contrast was too powerful to be accidental. The theory proposed that Dragon wasn't born a revolutionary, but became one after seeing something that broke him inside. For a long time, there was no direct confirmation, just loose clues. Dragon appears in log town, intervenes at just the right moment to save Luffy, and disappear.
Time to
Later,
find out if we have sleep claws.
bases, commanders,
Or is he just gonna cheese me with yawning?
remained in the shadows. The Phantom's reasoning was simple. To hate something so
Oh,
deeply that you
Torterra.
dedicate your life to destroying it, you first have to have known it from the inside. If Dragon had been simply an outraged civilian, that would have been a possible path. But if he had been
Charizard.
Marine, the story gained far greater dramatic weight. It implied betrayal, ideological conflict, family rupture, and a conscious decision based on direct experience. Over time, especially with the information revealed around God Valley, the theory gained strength. We
We gotta live.
figures such as Garp and Roger were present, and that the world
Wish I got the light screen up.
later, the manga makes it clear that Dragon had a past connected to the Marines,
Damn it.
witnessed events that led him to completely reconsider the system. Among them, the brutality of the Celestial Dragons and the way the Marines act as the enforcers of their interests. The hardest point to understand was that this wasn't just isolated corruption, but something structural. If Dragon saw God Valley, the human hunt organized by the celestial dragons, the suffering of innocents, and the Marines' passivity or even complicity, that would perfectly explain the break. It wouldn't be an ideological tantrum. It would be a decision based on concrete facts. And it also fits with Garp. Garp has never been a blind defender of the world government. He believes
That's
that justice
crazy,
protects
dude.
the celestial dragons. The fact that he can understand, though not
That's
fully
actually
God's
crazy.
decision adds a very powerful emotional layer. It's not simply my son has gone bad, but my son saw something that led him down another path. What's interesting is that this theory didn't arise from exaggeratedly clear clues, but from
Bro is
narrative
so
layers.
lucky, bro.
Over time, Oda released information that ended up confirming the essential points. Dragon was in the Marines and deserted after witnessing atrocities that marked him deeply. The theory that was pure speculation at the time ended up becoming part of the canon. And after God Valley, the hype is at another level because we know the what, but the how and the how far still remain. How far can Monkey D. Dragon go with the entire Revolutionary Army? Theory number 14. Roxy Zebek was Blackbeard's father. This theory about Roxy Zebek was one of those that floated around for years until Oda decided to drop the bomb directly. And what's interesting isn't just the revelation itself, but how the mystery was built from the beginning. Rox was officially introduced during the Wano arc when Sengoku talks about the God Valiants. There we're told that there existed a legendary crew made up of monsters like Kaido, Big Mom, and Whitebeard, all under the command of one Rock Tibet. And the most shocking part is that to defeat him, Gold D. Roger and Monkey D. Garp had to join forces.
Tragic.
Just from that, we're talking about someone on another level entirely. From minute one, Oda presented him as a historical, almost mythical figure, someone who wanted to become king of the world, directly attack the celestial dragon,
I like this. I
erased
like
from
this
official
combo.
record. There was a key detail. We never saw his face, only silhouettes, shadows, strategic framing, and in One Piece, when Oda hides a face for that long, it's not coincidence. That's where the
Let's see if we can just set up both screens. I probably should have let Crook actually.
if his face wasn't being shown, it was because his design would reveal something too obvious. Either he had a clear physical
Probably should have let
resemblance to
Crook.
someone in the present, or his identity had a direct connection to some important current character. And if we're talking about ambitious pirates with chaotic ideology and obsessed with absolute power, there's one name that fits perfectly. Marshall D. Teach, Blackbeard. The ideological similarities were very strong, both with a brutal approach to power, both with boundless ambition. Rox wanted to dominate the world. Teach wants to become the absolute king and doesn't hesitate to betray, manipulate, or destroy. Additionally, the name Davy began to gain relevance, recalling the concept of the Davy Backfight, a pirate game that at the time seemed anecdotal but could have deeper roots. For years, there were theories of all kinds that Teach inherited the will of Rock, That his ship, the Saber of Sebek, was no coincidence. That his base in Hachinosu had a direct connection to the old Rock's crew. But one of the strongest theories was that the relationship wasn't just symbolic, but blood related. That Rox was Blackbeard's father. The basis was simple. We had never seen Teach's father. His origin was shrouded in mystery, and his connection to ancient history was too strong to be mere coincidence. Furthermore, the narrative parallel was perfect.
We're
If
just gonna have to go
Luffy
to
is
sleep.
Dragon's son and Garp's grandson, a family line tied to freedom and conflict with the system, it would make a lot of sense for his main antagonist to also inherit a powerful and dark lineage. And when Oda finally showed Sebek's face, the resemblance to Teach was evident. Not subtle, not debatable, but clear. Facial features, expression, presence, and in case any doubt remained, the manga made it clear that he was Blackbeard's father, adding it in a small panel to leave no ambiguity. No beating around the bush, no hedging, direct. This is what surprised people most. Oda could have played with the mystery for longer, but chose to confirm it clearly from his full presentation, with the entire theory circulating for a year explode all at once. It wasn't just an ideological connection or a metaphorical inherited will. It was literally father and son. Narratively, it's incredibly powerful. It means the final conflict isn't just Luffy
He's
versus
dragon
Teach, but
dancing.
a continuation of a generational war. Roger and Garp against Rocks, and now Luffy, Garp's
My
grandson,
reflect.
against Rocks' son. It's a historical echo that connects God Valley directly to
He's
the past.
faster
And the best
now,
part
dude.
is that it demonstrates once again
Oh,
something for them, not nothing. It's because that revelation is going to reshape the entire war. This was a theory that started as a visual intuition and narrative parallel, and ended up as absolute confirmation. And when that happens, the fandom goes wild, because they realize they had correctly read the author's intention years before he confirmed it. Theory number 15. There was someone above the Gorosei. This theory has a special value for me, because it wasn't born from analyzing hidden clues or looking for strange symbolism or rereading chapters 20 times. It was born literally in the head of a child who had been watching One Piece since the age of 5 or 6. And that's what makes it so beautiful. When the Gorosei, the five elders, appear for the first time, they're introduced as the highest authority in the world. Five men sitting in an elegant room, making decisions that affect the entire planet. At that moment, the work clearly tells you that these are the ones in charge. They are the ceiling of the system. There is no one above them, or at least that's how it seems. But here comes the curious. I, as a kid, had already internalized the narrative pattern without realizing. Most of the series I had watched up to that point followed a very similar structure. The final big villain was almost always, if there was a powerful group, that group answered to someone even higher. There was always a definitive figure, the final boss of the final boss. Even in video games like Pokemon, which I played a lot, there would be Elite Four brutally strong trainers, and then the champion, who was always someone higher up. It was like
Charles gets
the
rain
unwritten
dance,
rule
right?
of entertainment I consumed as a child. So when I first saw the Gorosei, these seem like the ones in charge, but surely there's someone above them. It wasn't an elaborate theory. There was no proof, no panels to analyze. It was simply narrative intuition, thinking,
He gets
well,
surf and
this can't end
whirlpool
here. Over.
and sunny day,
Here's an escape
not
from
rain
the universe.
dance,
Wasn't something I actively
and
defended as a
ice beam
baby.
and blizzard,
It was more of
but
an
it doesn't get
internal
rain
feeling, like a
dance.
missing piece in the puzzle.
But it
Even
gets
if
sunny.
the
Oh,
was the
I
structural
can't read.
antagonist of the story, the Gorosei were the visible representatives. Could the entire system really rest on just five people at the same level? And then the moment came. Many, many years later, when we were already more than 2 decades into the work, when Oda reveals the existence of Emu, a completely unknown figure up to that point. A silhouette seated on the empty throne, the supposed throne that symbolized that no one governed above the world's kings, now occupied by someone. That was collective madness. The fandom exploded because not only did someone appear above the Gorosei, but it was also confirmed that the world government had been hiding the existence of an absolute sovereign for centuries. It blew my
Or
mind. Not because I couldn't have imagined it, but because seeing it rendered in the manga is something else entirely. It's one thing to have a narrative intuition based on patterns from other stories, and quite another, after more than 1,000 chapters, to have the author confirm that there was indeed a champion above that elite. And the most striking thing isn't just that someone superior exists. It's what it implies. It means the world of One Piece is not governed by a balanced council, but by a secret figure who has been manipulating history from the shadows. It means the empty throne was a lie. It means the root of the conflict is even deeper than it seemed. That's why I'm so attached to this theory, because it wasn't something
90
I
base power
consciously
for
built.
real?
It was something I simply
Or do we
assumed
just
as a
run
child,
bodies?
applying the logic I had learned from watching other stories. And years later, when I was already creating content, making videos, and analyzing theories seriously, this idea became reality inside the manga. And it's funny how life works. You start watching One Piece as a child, you form a theory without realizing it, and years later you're talking about it on a channel and analyzing how Oda has built one of the biggest political twists in the series. Sometimes the best theories don't come from searching for hidden clues. They come from understanding how stories are told. Theory number 16. Conjuro was the traitor among the Red Scabbards. This theory was one of those that, when confirmed, forces you to reread half an arc with different eyes. Because the revelation that Conjuro was the traitor wasn't simply another dramatic twist. It was a calculated move that had been cooking for years. And the most striking thing is that there were people who saw it coming. During a large part of the Wano arc, especially in the preparation for the assault on Onigashima, it's made clear that
I
the
think I have a
Shogun
better shot at a rain
planned
team than
failed.
a sun
From
team.
me, Orochi always seems to be one step ahead, and at one specific point, it's directly confirmed. There is a traitor among the Red Scabbards. Chaos broke out in the fandom, and practically everyone was suspected. Some pointed to Raizo because of Joe, others to Shinobu. Some even pointed to Law with more far-fetched theories. But what's interesting is that there was a fairly solid group that pointed directly to Conjuro, and not by instinct, but by very specific detail. First, there's the visual symbolism. Conjuro
What
has
do
been
we have
accurately
for
associated with kabuki theater. Exaggerated makeup, theatrical dress, dramatic expressiveness. In Wano, theater is not simply a decorative cultural element. It's a central part of the art. And an actor, by definition, is someone who plays a role, someone who pretends, someone who puts on a mask. Many fans began to connect this with the idea that Conjuro was literally acting the whole time. He wasn't simply a loyal samurai, he was someone playing a role within the story. And if Oda designs characters with symbolic intent, which he does constantly, that couldn't be coincidence. But what was truly striking came with a technical detail. In Oden's flashback, when we see the scabbards in their youth, there are scenes where Conjuro uses his sword to form a
Hmm.
specific hand. Years later, in the present, when we see him drawing his main ability with the Fude no Mi, he uses the other hand. That appeared on the surface to be irrelevant or even just a drawing oversight, but it wasn't, because there was another detail too. Anjuro drew badly, very badly. His creatures were crooked, deformed, ridiculous, and everyone assumed it was just a running gag, comedic relief. The typical character who has a powerful ability but doesn't know how to use it well. But some readers started thinking, what if he doesn't draw badly
I
because
gotta
he
work on
doesn't
my
know
sun
how?
team.
What if it's because he's using the
But I
wrong
think I have a
hand
case
on
for a
purpose?
water team.
And that's where
We
everything
just need
explodes.
Hurricane.
If in the past he used the sword with one hand,
Hurricane!
and in the present he uses the other, that means he was probably hiding his true ability, voluntarily limiting himself, pretending incompetence. And this fits perfectly with the figure of the actor. When it's finally revealed that Conjuro is the traitor, and he also demonstrates that he's actually an extremely talented artist, capable of generating complex and realistic drawings, everything makes sense. He was never clumsy, never useless. He was playing a role. And the most brilliant thing is that Oda left the clues in plain sight. It wasn't a twist pulled from nowhere, not a gratuitous shot. It had been planned for years. The theatrical makeup, the dominant hand, the exaggerated incompetence, all of it pointed in a direction that only some knew how to read. The moment of the revelation is spectacular. The panel, the expression, the open betrayal, the shift in attitude,
This Dragonite want Hurricane.
finds the
Should we
character.
run
You don't
Thunder?
see the quirky, likable one of the group.
I feel like
You
I
see him
click
at
Ice
the
Beam more
scene at
often
the very
anyway.
beginning. And honestly, what impresses most isn't just Oda's masterstroke, but that there were people capable of noticing something as specific as the hand he draws with. That level of analysis is obsessive in the best sense because it proves that in One Piece, details matter. And when someone connects them ahead of time, it isn't luck. The clues were always there. Theory number 17. Zoro would have Conqueror's Haki. This theory has been circulating practically since the Conqueror's Haki was explained as a concept within the story. And the curious thing is that for years there was no solid proof confirming anything. It was more of a mix of intuition, narrative logic, and an understanding of how One Piece works structurally. The idea was
This is what I want.
in Conqueror
We need power. We need more power.
With that hockey
The real question is, do I run Choice Scarf Noivern, or do we keep running this?
other. Conqueror's hockey, in theory, is the hockey of those destined to stand above kings. But here's where the fandom's reasoning came in. Zoro
That's what my team three should be
he's not
with
simply he's someone who lives by and for the
White
English.
Herb,
His dream is not small. He wants to become the greatest sword.
Dragonite,
He doesn't want to be very good. He wants
Choice
to be
Scarf.
and
I don't know.
that fits very well with the concept of king. Moreover, Zoro has always had an
Are these the
intuitive
same team though?
from East Blue
No,
on.
one has Tauros, one has Torterra.
Will, his capacity to endure pain, his discipline, his pride, all of that suggested his spirit was on a level with the great names of the world. The theory wasn't based on one specific scene where Conqueror's hockey was directly hinted at. It wasn't like when Luffy used it in Greenford and it was crystal clear. In Zoro's case, what there was narrative coherence. If the right-hand man of the future king of the pirate doesn't have a will comparable to those other greats, something feels off. There was also another important detail in the New World. We began to see that Conqueror's hockey wasn't as exclusive as it first seemed. Characters like Doflamingo, Katakuri, or even Kaido. In other words, it wasn't just the protagonist's hockey, but a quality shared by figures who dominate their environment. And if you look at Zoro coldly, he fits that profile perfectly. He's someone who doesn't follow Luffy out of weakness, but out of choice. He has the makings of a leader. In fact, on several occasions, he had taken on the role of making hard decisions when the captain wasn't in a condition to do so. That scene in Thriller Bark, for example, already demonstrated that his determination is at an extraordinary level. Over time, the theory gained strength. He said, it wouldn't make sense for Luffy to be the only one on the crew with that kind of immense ambition. Zoro doesn't just want to help him. And finally came the confirmation. It's It wasn't a gratuitous power. It was the natural consequence of how the character had been built from the very beginning. What's interesting is that this didn't need hidden clues or microscopic details to conjure. It was based on understanding the essence of the character, on knowing that someone with that ambition, that pride, that level of determination fits perfectly within the profile of those who possess it. And when it was confirmed, it was one of those moments where the fandom wasn't so much surprised, but just knew it was a matter of time. Sometimes theories weren't about guessing something impossible. Sometimes they're simply about reading well the story is going. Real computer plant center. This theory was one of those rare cases in One Piece where the logical option turned out to be the correct one. And that in this word isn't as common as it might seem. When the Admiral Ryokuki, better known as
Omega.
is first introduced during the reverie in Greece, isn't shown clearly, just silhouettes, partial framing, scattered dialogue, no full face, no power demonstration. No revealed proofs. Basically, total mystery. And of course, when Oda hides a character of that level to that extent, the fandom enters automatic theory mode. And there was one detail that drew enormous attention. It's mentioned that Ryokuyu hadn't eaten in years.
Oh no.
And that the last time he did was because a pretty girl gave him something to eat. Additionally, we see him relaxing in the sun, since he doesn't eat much else. And that's where the connection starts. Sunbathing plus not eating for years equals something unusual is going on here. And the theory that gained the most traction was fairly straightforward. Ryokuyu had to have some kind of fruit related to plants, perhaps a plant lotus or
This dude got no diff by Tauros.
just almost immediate conclusion for many people. He doesn't, but takes in sunlight. There it is, plain and simple. You're curious, or the obvious option almost never being the final. Oda usually plays that misdirection. He gives you a clear clue and then subverts it. That's why many thought the plant angle was too obvious. Surely it would be something more twisted. That maybe the not eating thing would
Bro got no diff by Tauros.
and I have to say, I included myself in that group. But the theory kept having traction for a very simple reason. It fit too well. Furthermore, Ryoku's own name means something like green wolf. Green is the color associated with vegetation. Even from the alias itself, there was a fairly clear visual connection. Add that to the sun.
It happens. You can't plan for everything. You just brought something weak to Tauros.
Green Bull appears descending from the sky, literally floating, surrounded by vegetation, and starts
Too bad you can't bring six Pokemon.
giant plants, manipulating roots and flowers. And there it was confirmed. He has a grip related to nature, specifically the plant growth. It wasn't a metaphor, it wasn't something far fetched, it was exactly what it seemed. At that moment, an enormous number of people celebrated the correct call, because for years, more complex and elaborate
Uh,
theories but the
rain might be good, rain might be bad.
interesting about
Hurricane. You got thunder though. Thunder kind of fucks him up. Hold on, wait, thunder.
boredom. Here it was the opposite. Oda was
Okay,
very
I talked myself into
the
it.
fandom didn't overcome
We
it.
can bring Gengar for safety.
And bet on. The fruit turned out to be very interesting at the power level, not
Uh,
just aesthetically,
Gengar's pretty safe in the back.
defensive,
I
and
talked myself into it.
making up for energy.
Rain Dance Thunder.
Control the battlefield. It's a very versatile power, perfect for an admiral. The most curious thing is that this is one of the few examples where the dominant theory didn't need impossible mental gymnastics. You just had to connect the sun, the absence of food, and the color green. And when it was confirmed, it was one of those moments where the fandom wasn't in shock, but smiled and said, okay, this time we all saw it coming. And
Gen
honestly,
1, Gen 1, Gen 1, Gen 1.
Shanks has
Montoy.
the Garland family. This theory was for years one of the most controversial revolving around Shanks because it
Let's
touched on
mimic you.
something very delicate. His possible direct link to the highest power in the
I
world.
popped his white hurt.
The scene that left everyone completely disoriented at the time. When Shanks appears in Marishawa and meets face to face with the Gorosei, the impact is immediate. We're not talking
I
about
want him to think he's safe so he doesn't switch. Set up on me.
Emperor.
Use Source Dance. He used Source Dance. He can't Shadow Sneak me. I want him to think he's safe.
Elder. And the strangest part isn't just that he entered, but how they treat him. The Gorosei say they're making an exception because it's him, because it's
No.
nuance.
He missed.
Recognition. There's something more. That's when the strong theory began. Shanks could have noble blood, could be a celestial dragon. At that moment, there was no clear proof. Just that scene, the tone of the conversation, and the sense that Oda doesn't put that kind of meaning in without a reason. Some even went to the extreme and started theorizing that Shanks was a traitor, that he was secretly working for the world government, or was a kind of double agent. But the most solid theory is for lineage. If the government allowed an
Meowscarada.
power, there had to be a structural reason. And in One Piece, when we talk about structural privileges, we're almost always talking about blood, lineages, families with historical weight. Over the years, the stories have
Protean.
brother, and then the Garland
Tauros?
weight than the Divine Knights. From the very first moment, the physical resemblance is evidence, not a coincidence, but a visual declaration. And there it was confirmed what had for so long been theory. Shanks belongs to the Garland family, one of the noble houses connected to the celestial dragons. Not only that, but his lineage is directly connected to the Divine Knights, a group that stands even above common
Did a
celestial
perfect
dragons.
job for
People with
his
enough
return.
authority to execute one of their own if they consider it necessary, as we already saw.
Dragonite, I choose you.
Another level. It was no longer just that Shanks had special treatment.
Use Hurricane.
The pinnacle of world power. And that completely changed the reading of the character, because until then,
Nothing wants to take a Hurricane, buddy. This doesn't take Hurricane. This doesn't take Hurricane.
But now we he himself is destined
Use Thunder.
narrative layer. It doesn't automatically make Shanks a traitor or a villain, but it does make him a far more complex character. Someone who was born in the absolute elite of the world and chose to live as a pirate. Someone who has access to the highest
Wow. Marvel scale? Fuck.
era. Personally, I think it was a brilliant decision by Oda, because Shanks was already important. He was the trigger for Luffy's journey, one of the four Yonko, a figure respected.
It didn't kill because of the Mega. He's dragon. Ah, Para, let's go.
The global conflict. He's no longer just a strong pirate. He's a bridge between two worlds. And the
Let's go.
Timing of this, when it was confirmed, it wasn't a twist pulled from nowhere. It was the logical culmination of something that had been planted a long time ago. And that's what made this theory so powerful and so satisfying when it finally became canon. And to add something interesting, this video has been in production for a very long time. So long that during its production, Ichiro Oda spoke about Shanks' intervention with the Gorosa. In an SBS, Oda confirmed that
Quick
he
claw?
wanted to speak with the
He
Gorosa,
he missed?
not
No.
Shanks, which obviously doesn't invalidate the theory. In fact, it gave it even more life, since many people had thought it could be a
Where's my
double.
quick claws?
Theory number 20. Goldie Roger was Corcus D. Ace's father. To talk about this theory, you have to go back very long.
Ooh.
Time when One Piece was
I should have swapped to Gengar there, I think.
before the time skip.
But I think I killed maybe.
Before we knew practically anything about the true lineage of many
He's faster than me.
the
But he
theory
used the wrong move.
that Goldie Roger was Corcus's father. Today it sounds obvious. It's completely internalized.
Oh, is it Scarf? Is he gonna struggle?
Narrative
Is it Scarf?
because until it was officially revealed, the most logical option seemed very different. When we discovered that Luffy has a father, Monkey D. Dragon, that was already a bombshell.
Fun games.
Luffy's brother, the automatic conclusion everyone drew was simple. If Luffy is Dragon's son, Ace must be too. It's only natural. Two brothers, same father. But cracks began to appear. First, Luffy's last name is Monkey D. Luffy. Ace's is Portgas D. Ace. They didn't share a last name. And in One Piece, names matter enormously. It's not something Oda leaves to chance. Second, Garp talks about Luffy as his grandson without issue. It talks about Dragon as his son, but never refers to Ace as Dragon's son. There's
Dragon's son.
distance in that regard, a strange ambiguity.
Crook goes crazy here.
Never once mentions Dragon as his father.
Rain could also be nice. Plants a powder on the bottom.
He would be an extremely relevant figure in the
I don't do anything else to it.
the key moment in Drum
You can just go hard Dragon.
searching
Like his rocks or he's not gonna rocks.
it temporarily stops snowing. Then, just as we're leaving Drum Island, Dr. Kureha mentions for the first time the true name of the Pirate King, which wasn't Gold Roger, but Gold D. Roger. That detail of the D was enormous, and it coincided narratively with the consolidation of Ace as an important character.
He has a Raichu. What is that? What does the Raichu do?
The D at that moment. It wasn't as widespread as it is now. If Ace had the D and his origin was
I don't know who to bring.
Roger also
What the fuck? What is that Raichu doing?
as an incredibly strong and charismatic pirate, the idea was already.
I'm just gonna bring
There was also a powerful thematic.
not weather. I'm just gonna bring because Lucario likes sand. Lucario doesn't mind sand.
Wet. It added weight, tragedy.
But bringing Gengar into sand is kind of sus. I'm not gonna lie. Especially when I'm leading Crocodile. I should stop doing that.
Roger's son.
Okay. He didn't lead Hippowdon.
It not only changes the perception of the character, it redefines the entire war. It's no longer just the execution of one of Whitebeard's commanders. It's the execution of the Pirate King's heir. And that's when this early theory was completely validated. What's impressive is that there were people who suspected it when there was still no direct confirmation. They were based on subtle detail. The surnames, the omissions of dialogue, the handling of the
What is it gonna do to me though?
timing in Drum Island. It was one of the first major theories that
Oh, he's yawning.
was not simply an
Of course.
adventure, but a story where lineages, names, and silences mattered enormously. And when it was confirmed, it wasn't just a shock. It was proof that Oda had been planting things for years that only some had known how to read. An early, powerful, and completely true theory. Theory number 21. Trafalgar D. Waterlaw had the D in its name. This theory about Trafalgar D. Waterlaw is one of those that now seems obvious, but at the time
Outfling.
quite so clear. And what's interesting is that it arose long before Oda officially confirmed it in Dressrosa. When the supernova
Yes! I can't go to sleep. Now I can't go to sleep.
among them, three clearly stand out. Luffy, Kid, and Law. From the beginning, those three feel like they're not
The fight's still on.
Your special narrative quality.
Thief!
At that point, Law is introduced as Trafalgar Law.
Give me those leftovers. Go for the leftovers, Crocodile.
Mysterious but important element.
The fight is still on. I synchronized myself, so now I can't go to sleep. Give me those.
Distributed at random. The theory began to gain traction, especially after Greenwood. Law doesn't just appear there. He's
Foul
saved
play.
when he's on the brink of death. He picks him up in a submarine, operates on him, and literally saves his life. This is
He
the
got his
ultimate
wish. But I got my lefties.
protagonist's fate. Many fans started thinking, this character can't simply be another strong pirate. He has to have something more. Then comes the time skip, and we enter the new world. The first important island we visit is Punk,
Just in case he tries to yawn at me or something, I should stay in.
character, but as a central piece of conflict, as someone who already has a plan in motion, who wants to bring down Kaido, and who proposes an alliance with Luffy. This solidified his narrative relevance. At this point, people were already theorizing.
There's the wish. Why is he stalling me? For what?
Because his weight in the story was starting to equal Luffy's. And if Luffy represented the new generation with the will of the deep, it made sense that another of the great names of the future would also carry it. Furthermore, we already knew that the world government concealed information, manipulated names, and that the deed was something dangerous. It wouldn't be strange for someone to hide it voluntarily for protection, or the government
Justified.
itself to have erased it from official records. The confirmation comes in Dressrosa, when his full real name is revealed, Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. There, the theory is completely validated. He wasn't just a charismatic pirate with an extremely powerful and unusual crew. He was part of the mysterious lineage that connects to the Void Century, to Roger.
Do I die now to foul play?
Interesting is that this theory wasn't based on
I
a
might die to foul play.
detail like Control, nor on a direct clue like Ryokuryu's. It was based on narrative
Paralysis, please. He yawned me.
being positioned as relevant for the long term. And if you analyze it coldly, Law had too many key interventions to not be part of the core of the story. He saved Luffy, initiated the downfall of a Yonko, was directly involved with Doflamingo's defeat, and was a central piece in Wano. It's also true that for a time, there were similar...
Is he gonna protect? If he protects, this guy sucks. If he switch, he's based. He actually knows how to battle if he switches. If he has protect, he actually sucks. He's gonna protect it, and I should have switched.
In Law's case, it had. What makes this theory
I
interesting...
already took a foul play, bro. I'm not letting this chance go to waste.
If someone has
He switched. He knows how to battle. There's
Garchomp.
Garchomp.
Much bigger. And with Law, that was the case. The deed wasn't a last-minute addition. It was part of his identity from the beginning. It was simply waiting for the right moment to be revealed. Theory number 22. The One Piece is something physical. This theory is curious because technically we still haven't seen the One Piece in the manga, but we do know something key about it thanks to the author himself. And this already completely changes the debate. For over 1,000 chapters, the great question of the series has been the same. What is the One Piece? It's the central mystery, the engine of the story, the reason the Great Spirit Era exists. It's that enormous for that many years, theories multiplied. There were theories of all kinds. Giant treasure chests full of gold, ancient weapons, complete monoglyphs with the truth of the Void Century, lost technology, and even more philosophical theories saying the One Piece wouldn't be something material, but something symbolic. And this is where the famous friendship debate enters. For years, many people feared that after 20 or 25 years of journey, the final treasure
Should I
would be something
switch?
like, well, the real treasure along the way. A more emotional and tangible conclusion. Something that might fit certain shonen series, but which for a story as ambitious
Outrage.
would have been for many a disappointment. But there was a group of fans who always defended the opposite, that the One Piece had to be something physical, something real, something you could touch. Not necessarily a chest full of gold and nothing more, but something material that would justify the impact it had on Roger and his crew. And here comes what matters. Ichiro Oda confirmed in an interview that the One Piece would not be friendship or something symbolically empty. He clearly stated it would be something physical. He didn't reveal what it is, obviously, but made it clear it was not going to be an emotional joke after decades of story. This completely validated that theory because beyond external declarations,
Still asleep.
Sump was already giving clues. When we see the flashback of Roger arriving at Laugh-Tale, his reaction is not that of someone who has understood a metaphor. It's the reaction of someone who has seen something concrete. He laughs. He gets emotional. He says they arrived too soon. This implies they found something tangible. Furthermore, the fact that the world government government has such an
Mm, mm,
interest in
mm,
hiding
mm,
the truth of
mm,
the
mm,
void
mm, mm,
century
mm.
and in preventing anyone from reaching Laugh-Tale suggests that what's there has real weight. It wouldn't be
I'm gonna
logical
wait.
for a simple emotional concept to destabilize the entire world. That's why this theory had such strength even before it was
But he
confirmation.
managed to get
Because
rid
on
of
the
my
other hand,
nasty
it
plot,
didn't
huh?
make sense for a story built on the search for a legendary treasure to end in something
Greninja.
defeating. And the author's confirmation reassured many people. It was like saying, don't worry, you haven't invested
Go
in
for it,
a new
Lucario.
story only for the answer to be
Aura
found in the
Sphere?
ship and nothing more. There will be something physical, something concrete, something we can see. But this doesn't mean it won't have a symbolic component. Surely it will, in One Piece only.
It's Mega. It's all or nothing. He's faster. Get my Prody in. I might have lived that at full HP. Uh, GG's. I outplayed as much as I could. Mega Greninja outspeeds my entire team. Good to know. Good to know. If I see that Greninja is just over, good to know. That is good to know. Greninja is an instant L right now. I don't know. Snorlax? Can Snorlax beat Greninja? I just have to out tank it. I don't. Wow. This guy actually brought Aurora Veil, and I don't have Raging Bull. No, but let's try something different. Let's see if Lucario can break away open for Taurus. And then if that doesn't work, we'll have to rain up for Dragonite, maybe. Typhlosion's scary. I haven't found a good angle for Noivern yet. I don't know. Maybe this is the angle for Noivern. Well, not really. Azumarill scary. We have Flamethrower, but I need team knowledge. I don't know what he's gonna bring. It's Ninetales. He's actually bringing this, bro. That's crazy. That's okay. That's half the reason I started with Lucario. Gotta kill it, though. How do you stop Mega Lucario? You don't. I almost wanted to just Flash Can. I'm sure regular Flash Can would have killed it. I don't want to get in the habit of Megaing really early. I don't know if it's good or bad. Uh-oh. Doesn't this thing get earthquake? Clear body. That's bad. This is bad. That doesn't even make sense, dude. I'm a special attacker. Dude, I could have won. What is wrong with this guy? But now what? In other words, a clear body. Supreme over that burn is nasty. We can set up Ryan again later. You sucker. Yep. There's Dragapult in the back, right? Dragapult. That's all he has. Nice. Good job, Lucario. Got him to switch. We got him to switch. King Gambit. You want to fight? I almost swapped too. If I swap, we just win there, by the way. On a sucker punch? Let's fight them. Let's fight them. That worked out, huh? 3-0. That worked out, buddy. Just give me some more matches like that, please. This should be called Rainbow. Ooh, why would we bring Neuburn? Crook or Dragonite? Let's just bring Dragonite. Let's just bring rain mode. Oh, this thing likes the rain. Doesn't have stamina? Well, then that's fine then. Let's scare him with earthquake. My multi-scale. Draco Meteor. Tauros, no. I didn't get up the rain. Dragonite's not that good. I haven't got one Quick Claw proc. If there was ever a game for Quick Claw, it's right now, bro. Galley. He's tempting me to Hurricane for no reason. Why is he tempting me to Hurricane? We have Air Slash. Okay. That's just Draco. He's probably gonna kill me, man. Here we go. Let's go. I missed. Oh. Quick Claw! Use Hurricane! I missed. Oh, that was my only chance, bro. Flinch. Give me my turn back. God damn it. We live through stealth rocks. Oh man. Oh man, dude. Imagine if I hit my Draco. Imagine if I hit my Hurricane, dude. I would be the greatest trainer of all time. They would be calling me a genius battler, bro. Come on. I needed the power too. I don't even regret clicking it. I feel like that was the right play for me. It just don't work out sometimes. That was like the clutches of clutches, quick claw procs, and then I just missed my hurricane. Oh, buddy, no. What am I gonna do about stealth rocks? Can Tauros get rid of stealth rocks? Bro, here we go. Oh, we're gonna be evil. We're gonna be evil. Damn, he has rocks though. Dude, rocks fuck up my team, don't it? You look at my team, you're like, oh, his team really. I don't really like rocks. So three of my mods. Maybe we just bring Lucario, yeah. Oh, we're gonna be evil with double intimidate. And I got rain to get rid of the sand. Dude, Rain Dance Tauros is actually really good. I actually like it a lot. I'm thinking about all the use cases I got for it so far. It's been helping. And then we just go into our weather mods. Everybody's bringing sand, so just being able to get rid of their sand is kind of clutch. I'm just gonna have to rely on Dragonite to hit its moves as spots for. Is this physical? Oh, you're in danger. Bro, I gotta bring Raging Bull. There's the speed boost. Speed boost. It's protecting. He's stalling his own reflect. Baton pass. That's a, did he have a ghost type? Clefable. Parrot. Ha ha. What does this do? Flinch. I'm just not gonna let you move. Flinch. Flinch. Damn, he really got to play? He actually got to play? The reflect is gonna leave, yup. Now you're gonna flinch. How is he passing speed to Clefable? And he's still slower than me. Oh, because I paired him. Cosmic power. He's really playing through Parafusion, bro. Come on. Oh, I gotta go in a Noivern. I don't have Noivern. This is how people play Pokemon, bro. They're so toxic. What are we doing? This is how people play Pokemon. And the game's letting him do this, dude. I should be flinching him. He should be parried. The game's just letting him do this. Now I gotta hit two in a row. Come on. What the fuck? Dude. Are we serious? I only have nine left. Oh my god. Now I don't even like win it, bro. One. Can I get a crit? That's two. I don't even kill him. That's the para. That's a flinch. The game finally gave it to me. That's what you get. That's what you get. The game finally gave it to me, bro. Let's go. That's what you get for being a scrub. Go in the poop deck. You are a scrub. You can't battle with me. I'm Ash Ketchum. I'm the best. We the best music. Okay. I'm in danger. You know what's what do I do against Gardevoir? We go Gengar. Do we bring Rain? Or do we bring Lucario? Dude, what's this Raichu stuff, bro? Why are people bringing Raichu? I don't get that. Dude, Noivern is not even faster than Tauros. We need Choice Scarf on Noivern. Or we need to paralyze something with Crocodile. I believe. I believe. I believe. I have a plan. That's all that matters. As long as you have a plan, you can succeed. Okay. I'm actually happy he led with this. Because I can beat this. Curse body. Sludge bomb. Goodbye. It's not mega. Psychic. Nice try. Seemed like we've had the same idea. Shadow Ball? Those are your options. But he doesn't know my two last moves. This Dragonite. You would have to be smarter than me to get out of this one, buddy. Fire Blast. If he would have missed, that would have been high IQ. Gengar. And you? Oh. Now we bully the last Pokemon. It's Charizard. If it's Mega, it's intimidated now. Fling? It's Y. He's gonna Solar Beam me. Are you joking? He's the perfect counter. He's actually gonna Solar Beam me. Please let me get the Fling off. It's the drought. Yes! He's paralyzed. He's flying in the air. What the fuck? Who is this guy? Wait, the fact that he's using fly, he's physical? So intimidate matters? I love this. I love playing bad players, bro. I don't know why people are complaining about bad players. Fight him head on, Noivern. Use air slash. Flinch. He didn't flinch. And he wasn't parried. Are we serious? He didn't flinch and he wasn't parried. This is crazy talk, buddy. Are we serious right now? I think we have to thief. I'm already faster. Yikes. It's parried. That fly play was clutch, man. Too bad. Light ball crocodile is too good, buddy. I love that my crocodile set's actually working on ladder. A fling thief, bro. I'm like, dude, what if I just take everybody's items with like a thief with crocodile? I'm fling thief and everything, bro. I told you to believe. Just believe. If you believe in me, we'll win. I got a whole plan. Big guns are ghost forwards. I'm starting to not like shell scale shot. I'm starting to not like scale shot. We need an actual coverage move. Like I didn't have anything for fucking Charizard, bro. Because I can't hit flying types like that. Well, not just specifically Charizard. But I don't find myself wanting to click it too often. And even the one time I did click it, I was I was scared. We kind of just wanted Dragon Claw, bro, right? Yeah, just run the Ash move. Let's just run the Ash move. That covers Mega Charizard X too. But I can Earthquake. Mega Charizard X, but whatever. Dragon Claws. Wait, is it? I don't really want to fight fairy types anyway. But dang, fairies. No, we can handle one fairy. We're kind of scared of Whimsicott. We were always scared of Whimsicott. Okay, maybe we need to get Tauros another item. I don't know. Maybe Tauros needs another item. We can run Citrus. That's something. Here we go with this team, bro. Here we go. I have Dragon Claw. The Glamora is kind of scary. Do we want Rain against Charizard? Not really. But Tauros is just kind of good in the matchup, though, huh? Do we take Crook? Rain, Rain can soften the blow from Charizard, you know. But if he's bringing Charizard, he's gonna bring it in the back. So I don't know. We're probably just gonna intimidate Switch unless I can fight it. It's Glamoro. He wants me to attack him. He wants me to attack him, so I will not. He's probably gonna Stealth Rocks anyway, though. Oh, it's Meowscarada. Oh, my Quick Claw. He only hit once. He's confused. Drop a Thunder on the Switch. He switched. Hit him again. It's Mega Glamour. Dragonite! No! They use Power Gem. It's special. Here's Meowscarada and Alas. Alright. Tauros, stand by for battle. It's probably wrong. Oh, my Lucario has Earthquake. I should have went Lucario. Because we can swap into Tauros. I should have went Lucario. Oops. That's a major misplay too. I might lose. My Lucario had Earthquake. I didn't have to go Tauros because now I don't get an Intimidate off. It might matter. He goes Meowscarada. Dude, that's so good. I forgot about knockoff. I would have got a free Justify boost. That was the freest Justify boost. I wasn't even thinking about knockoff. He already told me he had knockoff. Oops. I should have swapped. Oh, we just need damage. I should have swapped. Man, I should have swapped. Dude, I had so many good plays I could have did. Do we outspeed Aegislash? We might not. It's King Shield, of course. But now he's slower than me for sure. I think he'd lose off of that for sure, right? If I got the Justify boost, that would have been so clean, bro. Fuck. GG's. I needed the Justify boost. Oh, man. I should have won that. I actually should have won that, but I wasn't. Oh, I didn't think about knockoff. Oh, I had the perfect combination of Pokemon too. My instincts are incredible. I just have to execute better. That's okay. I'm still a little rusty. Haven't played too much competitive in recent years. Mostly Rambats. Oh, here we go. Honestly, double intimidate here is pretty good. But we'll lead with Crook. Double intimidate is pretty good against his team, I think. Azumarill, Garchomp. He probably want to bring one of those or both. And in case he brings Gyarados, not scared. Dragonite, not scared. Not too scared. um, and then we can Thunder Toxapex. It's Gyarados. I planned for this. Intimidate 1, Intimidate 2. Alright, that's the furthest I got in my plan though. Body Slam? How am I gonna set up Ring? He's switching. It's Toxapex. Got him. So he's weak to thunder. Boy, it's over. Let's rain dance. You can't beat me. Tell him to relax. He missed. That was a crazy predict. Did he remember I had Dragonite? It doesn't care. I used Thunder on it and it doesn't care. Baneful Bunker? Yeah, the switch. But because I'm faster, he gets it for free. His own Dragonite. What if I thundered again? What? It's Mega Dragonite. Draco Meteor! Run, Tauros? Oh, it's the rain done. It's the real question. Yeah, it is. Who has a better shot at beating Gyarados is the question. I don't even have my Marvel scale up. I have my Flame. There's no way he goes Toxapex though, right? No! Is he a genius or what? How does he go Toxapex here? For what reason? Saving his Gyarados is diabolical. Earthquake? Let's just hang in there, Crocodile. Here's Gyarados. I'm just gonna hit Thunder. You're not stronger than me. I'm just gonna hit Thunder. Quick Claw Thunder if I need to. If I need to. Quick Claw Thunder if I need to. I'm just gonna hit Thunder. I'm just gonna hit Thunder. I'm just gonna hit Thunder. Fuck. Oh, wait, wait, wait. That does not kill me. He's weak. Thunder. Told you. Whap app. I was like, that does not beat me. No. Now, if I ever needed a quick claw, it's right now. If I ever needed quick claw, it's right now. I was like, I'm just gonna hit this thunder. That's all that's gonna happen. Thunder. Come on, Hoss. You can't beat me. It's over. Just run away then. What's this internet, bro? Maybe I do need to be shiny hunting on the side. Wow, it's really 10 o'clock. Should we go to the library? Quick claw. Maybe I should have ice beamed. I lose this because I missed Draco. Quick claw. Quick claw if you have to, Dragonite. I definitely should have ice beam. I lose these all the time because I click Draco instead of ice beam. Oh, he doesn't click his buttons, bro. Wonder what happened to little bro. Wonder what happened to little bro. Did he know he was cooked? Let's get one more way. This is the make or break game. Wow, he has Incineroar. What I wouldn't give for a third Intimidate Mon, bro. Wow. Crook goes crazy here. How do we beat Gardevoir? How do we beat Gardevoir and Blastoise? And then let's just bring. Do we bring you? Flamethrower, Hurricane, Air Slash. We can Paraflinch something, maybe, maybe. Let's bring Noivern. Why not? Why not? Lucario is just not a good matchup into most of that stuff. Like, I'm gonna fight Venusaur and Incineroar. I'm a little scared for Lucario. Here's the Blastoise. Mega Blastoise. Oh boy. I can just hard go Gengar. I actually think that's my best play with the Mons I brought. Good job, Gengar. The great equalizer. I didn't break my Mega. Let's try this again. Go Crocodile. Venusaur. Venusaur looks huge in this game, dude. Poison move, ground move, grass move. Quick Claw. Who else did he bring? It's either Gengar. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, dude. Just air slash something. It's Garchomp. It's Garchomp. There's no way he Leaf Storms here because he needs a special attack to kill my Noivern, right? Sledge Bomb. Flink. Should have missed. But now he doesn't have special attack. So he can have all the quick claw he wants. Quick claw? Nope. Flinch. All right. Good session. Good session. We actually ranked up 2 ranks. I got to rank Great Ball 2. Let's see where I'm at. Take a quick break. Yeah, rank 2. Take a quick break. Come back later. Try to get to Ultra Ball, I guess. Some good battle. I told y'all trust the process, dude. My battling style is too cold. It's just too clean. It's so solid. Just trust the process. I knew Noivern was gonna do it. I knew Crocodile could do it. Extremely effective whiz. Win 12 battles, no feints. Mhm. Nations. And just free VP. Listen, I'm swimming in VP now, buddy. 23K, let's go. I'm swimming in it now. I don't think we can recruit anybody. Yeah, they want 20 tickets. Sheesh. We'll do it later. All right, yeah. Fuck it.